My grandson called me from the police station in the middle of the night. Grandma. I'm at the station. My stepmother hit me with a candlestick, but she's telling everyone I attacked her. My dad believes her. He doesn't believe me. In 35 years as a commander in criminal investigations, I'd listened to hundreds of liars. I never imagined my own son would become one of them. What I'm about to tell you is how a forgotten grandmother became the worst nightmare of the woman who tried to destroy my family. If you've ever been called too old, too weak, or just the grandma, stay with me until the end. You're going to see exactly how wrong they are. My name is Nora Hale. And this is how I brought down a predator hiding behind the word stepmother. It was 2:47 a.m. when my phone shattered the silence of my apartment. At that hour, no call is good news. Ever. Half asleep, I fumbled on the nightstand until my fingers closed around the cold rectangle of my cell phone. The screen lit up my tired face, an unknown number, but the name flashing on the display made my heart stop. Liam. My grandson. The only person who still called me Grandma, without anyone forcing him. Liam, my boy, what happened? My voice was hoarse with sleep, but my heart was already racing like it knew something terrible was coming. Grandma. His voice was breaking, full of sobs. I'm at the police station, in Greenwich Village. She hit me with a candlestick. My eyebrow is bleeding. But she's saying I attacked her. She says I pushed her down the stairs. My dad believes her. Grandma, he doesn't believe me. For a second, I couldn't breathe. I sat up in bed so fast I felt dizzy, my bare feet pressing against the cold floor. Liam's words bounced around my skull like bullets. She. Rachel. My son's wife. The woman who had done in 5 years what life hadn't managed in 60. Turn my son, Daniel, into a stranger. Calm down, my boy. Which station are you at? The one in Greenwich Village. Grandma, I'm scared. There's an officer saying if a responsible adult doesn't come, they're going to transfer me to. Don't say another word, I cut in, already on my feet, hands trembling as I grabbed the first clothes I could find. I'm on my way. Don't talk to anyone. Don't sign anything. Do you understand me? Yes, Grandma. The line went dead. I stood there in the middle of my bedroom, phone in my hand, trying to pull air into my lungs. My reflection in the closet mirror stared back, a 68-year-old woman with messy grey-streaked hair and deep circles under her eyes. But I didn't see a frightened old lady. I saw Commander Nora Hale, the same woman who had spent 35 years in criminal investigations. The one who had interrogated murderers, broken crime rings, and walked into scenes most people only see in nightmares. For the first time in 8 years of retirement, that woman woke up again. I dressed in under 5 minutes. Black slacks, grey sweater, my old, comfortable boots, purse over my shoulder. Almost without thinking, I opened the top drawer of my dresser. There it was. My old, expired commander's badge. I slipped it into my back pocket. I didn't know if it would help, but every instinct told me I was going to need it tonight. When I stepped outside, the city was wrapped in that thick silence only found in the early hours of morning. I walked quickly to the main avenue and raised my hand. A taxi stopped. The driver, a man in his 50s with tired eyes, looked at me through the rearview mirror. Where to, ma'am? Greenwich Village Precinct. Please. It's an emergency. He nodded and pressed his foot on the gas. I stared out the window, but I wasn't seeing the city. I was thinking of Liam. His broken voice. His words. My dad doesn't believe me. Daniel. My son. The boy I raised alone after his father walked out when he was 3. The man I gave everything to, food, school, values, unconditional love. The same man who, 5 years ago, simply erased me from his life. Stopped visiting. Stopped calling. Stopped answering. And all because of her. He met Rachel at a casino, where she worked as a dealer. Daniel had just become a widower, shattered by the death of his first wife, Liam's mother. Rachel arrived like an angel. Young, beautiful, attentive, too perfect. I saw it from the first day. The way she looked at him, not with love, but with calculation, like someone evaluating an investment. But Daniel was blind. He had a hole in his chest big enough to swallow him, and Rachel knew exactly how to fill it. Slowly, she started planting poison. Your mother is too controlling, honey. She never lets you make your own decisions. She's always judging you. At first, Daniel defended me. But drops of poison, day after day, end up contaminating even the cleanest water. Visits got further apart. Calls got shorter. Birthdays were too complicated. Christmas came with excuses. Until one day he just stopped reaching out. The only one who kept coming was Liam. On the weekends he was supposed to spend with his father. He'd sneak away for a few hours to visit me. He'd bring drawings from school. Tell me about his problems. Hug me like my arms were the only refuge he had left. And I, like the fool I was, told myself time would fix everything. That Daniel would come to his senses. That he'd remember who I was to him. I was wrong. Very wrong. The taxi stopped in front of the precinct, a grey two-story building with harsh fluorescent light spilling from the windows. I paid and got out. My legs were shaking, not from fear, but from contained rage. Inside, the desk officer, a young man maybe 25, looked up from his computer. Good evening. How can I help you? I'm here for Liam Hale. My grandson. He called me half an hour ago. The officer checked a sheet. Ah, yes. The domestic assault case. Are you his grandmother? Yes. Nora Hale. Something changed in his face the moment he heard my name. He paled slightly and squinted at me, as if connecting a memory. Hale. Like Commander Hale. I took the expired badge out of my back pocket and placed it on the desk. He picked it up, read it, and his whole posture changed. He stood up immediately. My God. Commander, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were family. Allow me. Where is my grandson? My voice came out firm. The voice I used when I wanted people to understand I didn't have patience for nonsense. In the waiting room with his parents and the complainant. Captain Cross is handling the case. Cross. The name made me pause for the first time since I'd left home. Daniel Cross. Yes, ma'am. He had been one of my subordinates years ago. A good officer. Fair. Intelligent. Take me to him. The young officer nodded and led me down a hallway I knew like the back of my hand. I had walked these floors hundreds of times. Every door, every crack in the wall, smelled of my old life. I realized something in that moment. You never stop being who you are. You just pretend you forgot. The waiting room was a cold, fluorescent box with plastic chairs and a coffee machine that had probably been broken for years. That's where I saw the scene that would change everything. Liam was sitting on one of the plastic chairs. His right eyebrow was clumsily bandaged with gauze. Dried blood peeked from underneath. His eyes were swollen and red. When he saw me, he jumped up. Grandma. He ran to me and hugged my waist like he did when he was little. His whole body shook. I wrapped my arms around him and stroked his hair. I'm here, my boy. I'm here. But my eyes were already scanning the rest of the room. Daniel stood against the wall, arms crossed, jaw clenched, eyes hard. He looked at me with something I couldn't immediately name. Shame. Anger. Guilt. And then there was her. Rachel. Sitting with her legs crossed. The posture of a perfect victim. She wore a wine-colored satin robe, like she'd been dragged out of bed. A fresh bruise colored her left arm an ugly purple. Her brown hair fell in perfect waves over her shoulders, framing big tearful eyes that begged, "Look what your grandson did to me." I knew that look. I'd seen it in dozens of interrogations. The look of someone who knows how to act, who knows how to manipulate. Nora, Daniel said, voice dry, not moving from the wall. You didn't have to come. Those 5 words hurt more than any punch. Before I could answer, an office door opened. A man in his 50s stepped out, uniform crisp, face serious. Captain Daniel Cross. When he saw me, he froze. Commander Hale. Hello, Daniel, I said calmly. It's been a while. He walked toward me, clearly surprised. I didn't know you were involved, Commander. If I had known. Now you know. I cut him off. And I need you to explain exactly what's going on here. Because whatever Liam had told me on the phone, that was just the tip of the iceberg. And I was about to find out how deep the abyss went. By the way, before we go deeper into what we discovered about Rachel, let me say this. If you're still here listening, take a second to like this video and subscribe. Not because of me, but because stories like this, about manipulation, elder abuse, and kids no one believes, happen every day. And people need to hear that there is a way to fight back. Now, back to that night. Captain Cross took us to his office. Liam walked glued to my hand, like he feared I might vanish. Daniel and Rachel stayed in the waiting room. I could feel my son's eyes burning into my back, but I didn't look at him. I wasn't going to give him that satisfaction. Cross's office was small and tidy. Metal desk. 2 chairs in front. A filing cabinet. A crucifix on the wall. It even smelled the same as in my time, old paper and burnt coffee. Sit please, Cross said, closing the door. I sat. Liam sank into the chair beside me, head down, hands intertwined, shaking. Cross sat opposite us and opened a folder. Commander, the situation is complicated. Explain the facts, I said. Start with her version. He nodded. Ms. Rachel Cole filed the complaint at 11:43 p.m. She arrived accompanied by her husband, Mr. Daniel Hale. Every time he referred to my son as Mr. Hale, something twisted inside me. She alleges that at approximately 10:30 p.m., the minor Liam returned home after his permitted time. When she reprimanded him, he reacted violently, pushed her down the stairs, and hit her arm. She has bruises that partially match her story. Every word was a needle. And my grandson's version? I asked, though I already knew no one had truly listened. The minor alleges that Ms. Cole was the one who assaulted him first. He says that when he arrived home, she was already angry, waiting in the living room, and without warning, hit him with a blunt object. According to him, a silver candlestick. The wound on his eyebrow required 3 stitches. Did you look for the candlestick? I asked. Cross shifted in his chair, clearly uncomfortable. Ms. Cole says no such object exists. That the boy invented it to justify his aggression. And here's the problem, Commander. The house security cameras were broken that night. Just that night, I murmured. The cameras have been down for 3 days. According to the husband, they were going to call a technician this week. What about neighbor cameras? Street cameras? We're checking, but the house is in a private residential area. No public cameras nearby. Of course. Conveniently broken cameras. No witnesses. This wasn't a fit of anger. It was a plan. I turned to Liam and put my hand over his. Look at me, son. Slowly, he raised his gaze. His eyes were full of fear and shame. Tell me everything. From the beginning. And don't you dare hide anything from me. He swallowed hard. Glanced at Cross. Then at me. I was late because I stayed studying at a friend's house. I have a math test on Monday. I got home around 10:15 p.m. Not that late. His voice began to crack, but he kept going. When I opened the door, Rachel was there. In the living room. Lights off. Only the kitchen light was on. She said, "You're late, you insolent brat." I told her I'd texted Dad. She laughed and showed me my dad's phone. She had it. Dad was asleep. Tears streamed down his cheeks. I just wanted to go to my room, Grandma. I swear. But she grabbed my arm and pulled me back. I tried to get free and then she took the candlestick from the table and hit me here. He pointed at his bandaged eyebrow. I felt everything spin. I fell to the floor. While I was lying there bleeding, she started hitting herself against the wall. I saw her, Grandma. I saw her make the bruises. My fists clenched so hard I felt my nails in my skin. And your father? Asleep in his room. She'd made him chamomile tea before because he said he was stressed. When he heard the noise and came down, everything was already set. Rachel was crying, saying I had attacked her. Dad didn't even ask me what happened. He just yelled that I was a disgrace and called the police. I closed my eyes for a second and inhaled deeply. The rage in my chest felt like fire. And the candlestick. She hid it before Dad came down. I don't know where she put it. I opened my eyes and looked straight at Cross. Daniel, you worked with me 20 years. Did you ever see me let an innocent person pay for something they didn't do? Never, Commander. My grandson is telling the truth. And I'm going to prove it. Cross rubbed his face with both hands. Nora, legally my hands are tied. It's the word of a minor against 2 adults. The father supports the wife's version. I don't have physical evidence to contradict their story. The best I can do is release Liam into your temporary custody while the investigation continues. But I need you to sign as his responsible guardian. Do it. I'll take responsibility. While Cross filled out the forms, I studied Liam. 16 years old. Practically a man. But sitting there, he was the little boy who'd cried in my arms when his mother died. How long has this been going on, Liam? I asked softly. He dropped his gaze again. What, Grandma? Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm asking. Silence. The ticking of the wall clock cut through the room. Finally, he answered in a whisper. 6 months. It started with insults. Then she began breaking my stuff. My console. My notebooks. A soccer trophy you gave me. She said they were accidents. Dad believed her. He took a shaky breath. Then she started hitting me. Slaps. Shoves. Once she locked me in the basement all afternoon because I said I wanted to come visit you. I felt my heart shatter. Because I was afraid that if I told you, Dad would get even more angry with you. I thought, if I just put up with it a little longer, things would get better. But tonight was different. I saw something in her eyes, Grandma. He looked up at me, terrified. I realized she wants me to disappear. She wants to push me away from you. She wants Dad to see me as a problem. And when I'm out of the way, all that's left to wait for is you. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Rachel was planning my death. Or at least, waiting for it like people wait for a check to clear. Cross finished the documents and slid them over. I signed without reading. I trusted him. Then he stood. I'm going to call your son to sign the release as well. Wait here. He left. Liam and I were alone. I hugged him again, tighter this time. I felt him exhale, his body melting against me. Forgive me, my boy, I whispered. Forgive me for not realizing sooner. It's not your fault, Grandma. It's Dad. He didn't want to see. He was right. That didn't make it hurt less. The door opened. Daniel came in alone. He didn't look at me. Just walked to the desk, grabbed the pen, and signed the papers in sharp, angry strokes, like even the ink offended him. That's it, he said. Can I go? Daniel, I said, standing. We need to talk. I have nothing to talk about with you, he answered without turning around. You made your choice. You chose to believe him instead of my wife. Your wife. I shot back. What about your son? When did your son stop mattering to you? He finally turned to look at me. What I saw in his eyes chilled my blood. There was no love. No guilt. Just a dull emptiness I didn't recognize. My son, he said, emphasizing the word like an accusation, attacked my wife. The evidence is there. She has the bruises. He has a history of behavioral problems at school. What history? Liam burst out. That's a lie. I've never gotten in trouble at school. You were suspended last week for fighting, Daniel shot back. Because another kid was harassing a girl, Liam replied, shaking. I defended her. The principal thanked me after talking to the witnesses. Daniel didn't answer. He just turned and left, slamming the door. I stood there, feeling every last shard of hope for my son crumbling. Cross put a hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry, Nora. Don't be sorry, I said, wiping away a tear. He made his choice. Now I'm going to make mine. I squeezed Liam's hand. Let's go home. We stepped out into the cold dawn. Rachel and Daniel were gone. Under the orange glow of the streetlights, Liam looked at me. What are we going to do, Grandma? I met his eyes. Eyes just like his mother's. Honest, noble, incapable of lying. We're going to prove the truth, my boy. And we're going to make her pay for every tear she made you shed. Because Rachel had made a mistake that night. A mistake that was going to cost her everything. She messed with my grandson. And no one, absolutely no one, hurts my family and walks away. Commander Nora Hale was back. And this time, no retirement was going to stop me. We got to my apartment just as the sun was starting to peek between the buildings. Liam walked beside me in silence, feet dragging from exhaustion. My place is a modest third-floor walk-up in Greenwich Village. No elevator. I bought it with my life savings. It's not big, it's not fancy, but it's mine. Every plate, every chair, every picture frame on the wall was paid for with double shifts, tired feet, and lonely nights. I opened the door and flipped on the lights. The familiar smell of coffee and cinnamon wrapped us like a hug. I always leave a cinnamon stick on the stove. It makes the place smell like home. Sit on the couch, I told Liam. I'll make you something to eat. I'm not hungry, Grandma. I didn't ask if you're hungry. I said I'm going to make you something. He managed a weak smile and dropped onto my old brown sofa. It's second-hand, sagging in the middle, but it's never failed anyone who needed to collapse on it. I went into the kitchen and warmed some milk. I made 2 cups of hot chocolate the way my mother used to, thick, sweet, with a pinch of cinnamon. I cut a slice of the chocolate chip cake I'd bought the day before at the bakery down the street. When I came back with the tray, Liam took his cup in both hands. He sipped, closed his eyes. For a moment, he didn't look like a battered, accused boy. He looked like a child enjoying hot chocolate at his grandma's. Thank you, Grandma. Eat slowly, I said. Then I'll give you something for the pain. I sat beside him, and we drank in silence as the city woke up outside. Trucks, the whistle of the bagel man, the neighbor's dog barking 2 floors below. Grandma, Liam said after a while. Can I stay with you? Of course. As long as you need. No, I mean, forever. I don't want to go back there. Not with her. I put my cup down and looked at him. Liam, legally your father has custody. Right now, I can only keep you temporarily while the case is open. If you want to stay with me permanently, we'll have to do things properly. Lawyers. Judges. Dad will never agree, he muttered. We don't know that until we try. He does everything Rachel says. Since they got married, he's different. Do you know what I heard last week? What? His voice dropped to a whisper, as if Rachel could hear us through 3 miles of concrete. They were in their room. I was going to the bathroom and passed their door. It was a little open. Rachel was on the phone. She said, "Don't worry. Everything is going as planned. When the old woman dies, Daniel will inherit the apartment. We'll sell it and get at least $450,000. With that, and what I've already saved, we'll go to Miami. We'll open the hotel we always wanted. And the kid? We'll send him to a military boarding school in San Diego. Let someone else deal with him. I felt the blood boil in my veins. Are you sure that's what you heard? Completely sure, Grandma. That's why, when I came home late and she attacked me, I knew it was part of the plan. She wants to push me away from you. She wants you to see me as a problem. She wants Dad to see me like that too. And once I'm out of the way, all that's left is to wait for you. Rachel wasn't just cruel. She was methodical. Did you tell your father? I tried. The next day, when Rachel went to the salon, I told him everything. Do you know what he said? He swallowed. That I was making it up. That I couldn't accept he'd moved on. That I was a resentful teenager trying to make her look bad. The helplessness was crushing. My own son, who I'd raised to be fair, was completely blind. You're not making anything up, I said. And I believe every word. He rested his head on my shoulder and sighed. Why does she hate us so much, Grandma? People like Rachel don't hate from the heart. They hate from ambition. To her, you and I are obstacles. Pieces in the way. In the way of what? Money, I said. Power. An easy life without working for it. I fell silent, thinking. I started connecting dots. When Daniel met Rachel, she told him she came from a wealthy family in Dallas. Private schools. A degree she never finished, because she loved the thrill of casino work. We never met her family. No one came to the wedding. When I asked Daniel, he said she was estranged from her parents for personal reasons. How convenient. Liam, I need you to do me a favor. Anything, Grandma. Take out your phone. Show me the pictures of the bruises you told me about. He pulled out his phone, unlocked it, and opened a hidden folder. There were at least 20 photos. Bruises on his arms, his back, his legs. All recent. All time-stamped. Why didn't you ever show me this? Because I was afraid Dad would blame you. Rachel always says you're turning me against them. Send me all of them. Now. He did. My phone buzzed with each incoming photo. Every mark, every purple stain, was a silent scream that no one had heard. Until now. Now, I said. You need to sleep. Your eyebrow is swollen. You need rest. Take my room. I'll stay on the couch. But Grandma. No buts. Go. He kissed my forehead and went to my bedroom. I heard the soft click of the door. I was left alone with my phone, my rage, and a folder full of proof. Then I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened the drawer of my living room cabinet and took out an old leather-bound notebook. My investigation notebook. Inside were dozens of numbers and names from another life. I flipped until I found the one I needed. Karen Holt. Karen had been my partner for 10 years. Younger, but just as relentless. When I retired, she stayed on a bit longer, then opened her own private investigation agency. We hadn't talked much lately, but I knew one thing. If anyone could help me hunt Rachel, it was Karen. I dialed her number. It rang 4 times. Hello. A hoarse, sleepy voice. Karen. It's Nora Hale. Silence. Then a deep exhale. Commander. I haven't heard from you in ages. What time is it? 6:30. I'm sorry to wake you. I need your help. It's urgent. Tell me. I told her everything. Liam's call. The station. Rachel's plan. The bruises. The photos. The overheard phone conversation. Daniel's betrayal. When I finished, she whistled. That woman is a pro, Commander. What you're describing isn't just a cruel stepmother. It's a con artist. A very good one. That's what I thought. I need her full name, age, anything you have. Rachel Cole. 32, according to what she told Daniel. They got married 5 years ago. That's plenty. Give me 2 days. I'll dig into her past, marriages, finances. If she has a record, I'll find it. Thank you, Karen. Don't thank me yet. This will be a lot of work. And if we find something big, we'll need more than good intentions. I know. But first I need to know what I'm fighting. We hung up. I looked around my small living room. The old sofa. The photos. The crucifix over the door. This apartment wasn't worth $450,000. It was worth every drop of sweat I'd spilled to buy it. Every lonely dinner. Every holiday spent with just Liam and me. And Rachel thought she could take it. She thought she could torture my grandson, brainwash my son, and wait for my death like people wait for a wire transfer. I stood and walked to the window. The sky was turning orange and pink. A new day was beginning. And with it, my war. Rachel had no idea who she'd picked a fight with. I wasn't a defenseless old woman waiting to die. I was Nora Hale, former commander of criminal investigations. I'd faced traffickers, killers, abusers, and I was still standing. Rachel had just declared war. And I was going to make sure she lost. 2 days later, at 9 a.m. sharp, Karen knocked on my door. She carried a thick folder and the look of someone who'd just dug up something rotten. Commander, you're going to want to sit down before you see this. I made coffee while Liam showered. He'd spent the last 2 days with me, slowly recovering. The swelling on his eyebrow had gone down, but the scar would be there forever. A permanent reminder of Rachel's cruelty. We sat at the table. Karen opened the folder and spread out documents, photos, printed screenshots. Rachel Cole started as Bianca Morales, Karen began. Houston, Texas. 34 years old. Not 32 like she told your son. First lie. She never went to private schools. Finished public high school. No university. Worked as waitress, promoter, then dealer in casinos across the country. She placed a photo in front of me. Rachel. Bianca. Younger, maybe 23. Standing beside a man at a wedding. He had to be at least 60. Her first marriage. Richard Reed, Karen said. Owner of a chain of hardware stores in San Diego. Widower. 2 adult kids. They got married when she was 24. Marriage lasted 2 years. Richard died of a heart attack. Rachel, Bianca, inherited a $2.8 million property. The kids tried to contest the will. Couldn't. Everything was technically legal. And the kids? I asked. One lives in New York. The younger daughter filed a complaint for threats against Rachel, then dropped it a week later. When I tracked her down and asked about it, she hung up. I called back. She said, and I quote, "That woman is dangerous. I don't want anything to do with her or her cursed money. Her name is Hannah Reed." A chill crawled down my spine. Karen pulled out another photo. Another wedding. Rachel with another older man. Second marriage. Franklin Adams, textile businessman in Dallas. 58. Widower. Married Rachel at 27. Lasted a year and a half. He fell at home. Spent 3 weeks in a coma. Died. Rachel sold the house and the business. Profit, roughly $3.2 million. Did anyone investigate? I asked. Yes. Nothing suspicious on record. Rachel claimed Franklin had been drinking and slipped on the stairs. No witnesses. And she looked at me. The house cameras were broken. I sat up straight. Broken. Like your son's. Same pattern. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it. There's more, Karen said. She took out another stack. Third marriage. Joseph Navarro. Retired civil engineer. San Diego. 62. Widower. They married when she was 30. This one ended. differently. She placed a photo of a young man in front of me. 26, wearing a graduation gown, smiling. His son, Eric Navarro, disappeared 6 months after the wedding. Disappeared, meaning what? I asked. He left home one night. Never came back. Sent a text saying he needed time. That he was going abroad. No one's heard from him in 4 years. Joseph tried looking. Gave up. Fell into depression. Signed documents granting Rachel full control over his finances. She put him in a nursing home and sold all his properties. Estimated profit, $4 million. I covered my face with my hands. This was worse than I'd imagined. That boy, Eric, I whispered. Do you think? I don't know what happened to him, Karen said. But the pattern is clear. Rachel hunts widowers with kids. Marries them. The kids end up gone, dead, disappeared, or terrorized. Then she takes the money. And now, she's with my son. Daniel fits the profile, Karen agreed. Young widower. Teenage son. And a mother with a property in her name. She can't touch your apartment directly while you're alive. But she can manipulate Daniel into inheriting and selling. That's why she wants Liam out of the way, I said, finally seeing the whole picture. Because if something happened to Daniel, Liam is the only rightful heir. And he's the only one who sees her for what she is. Exactly. That's why she's building a record of him as dangerous. If she gets him labeled a delinquent, or institutionalized, she clears the path. Karen placed another sheet down. She's not working alone. There's a name that appears in all 3 marriages. Who? Victor Lang. Lawyer. Handles wills, powers of attorney, property sales. Every time, he's there. Bank records show suspicious transfers to accounts in the Cayman Islands. Always after an inheritance. Money gets split 50-50 between him and Rachel. It's not enough to convict, but it's enough to start a formal investigation. The bathroom door opened. Liam came out with wet hair and clothes I'd lent him. He stopped when he saw Karen. Good morning, he said shyly. Good morning, Liam, Karen smiled. I'm your grandmother's friend. He came closer, eyes on the table. Is that about Rachel? I looked at Karen. She nodded. Sit down, son, I said. You deserve to know who we're really dealing with. I told him everything. Every husband. Every suspicious death. Every disappearance. His face lost all color. So, she killed them, he whispered. We don't know for sure, Karen said. But the pattern is too strong to ignore. And I'm next, Liam murmured. She wants me gone like Eric. That's not going to happen, I said, squeezing his hand. Because now we know who she is. And we're going to stop her. How? He asked. Dad won't believe us. He thinks you're trying to separate them. I don't need your father to believe me, I said. I need evidence. Evidence so clear that no judge, and not even your father, can ignore it. Karen leaned back. What are you thinking, Commander? I'm thinking Rachel is smart, I said, but not as smart as she thinks she is. She's already slipped once. How? The candlestick. Liam says she hid it. It's probably still in that house, with his blood and her fingerprints on it. That's hard physical evidence, Karen agreed. But we can't just enter and take it. That would be illegal. No, I said. But Liam can. They both looked at me. Legally, that's still his home. He has every right to go in and get his things. Liam's eyes widened. You want me to go back there? Just for a couple of hours. With a reason. You say you need clothes, your school things. And while you're there, you look. If you see the candlestick or something strange, you record it. But you don't touch it. You're not going alone, I added. What do you mean? He asked. I took out my phone and opened a shopping app. Spy cameras. Button size. Sewn into clothing. Live video to my phone. Karen smiled. Commander, you really haven't lost your touch. I never lost it, I replied. It was just resting. We spent the rest of the morning planning every detail. Karen would get the cameras. I'd call Daniel and negotiate a time for Liam to pick up his things. If Rachel suspected anything, things could go very wrong very fast. Grandma, Liam said, seeing the worry on my face. I want to do this. Not just for me. He hesitated. For Eric. For those other families. For everyone she hurt. He wasn't the same boy who'd walked into my apartment bleeding. Something new had appeared behind his eyes. Courage. All right, I said. But we follow my plan exactly. No improvising. If you feel any danger, you leave. Immediately. Understood, he said. That afternoon, I called Daniel. He answered on the third ring. What do you want, Mom? Liam needs his clothes and school supplies, I said. He'll come by tomorrow to pick them up. I hope that's not a problem. Long silence. Is he coming alone? Yes. It's his house too, isn't it? At least that's what you used to say. Fine. But tell him to be quick. Rachel doesn't want to see him. Don't worry, I said. It will be quick. I hung up before he could answer. That night, Karen brought the cameras. They were so small they looked like regular buttons. We sewed them into Liam's shirt, one on his chest, one on his shoulder. From my phone, I could see what he saw. Tomorrow. 3 p.m., I said. Rachel doesn't work Tuesdays. Daniel will be at the office. Perfect time. Liam nodded. He looked calm, but his hands shook while he ate dinner. Later, before I went to bed, I found him lying in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Can't sleep? I asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm scared, Grandma, he admitted. But not of Rachel. I'm scared of what we're going to find. Scared of knowing for sure that Dad is with a killer. Whatever we find, I said, stroking his hair, we'll face it together. You're not alone. As long as I'm alive, you'll never be alone. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, my boy. More than you can imagine. He finally fell asleep. I stayed in the doorway a few minutes longer, watching him breathe. Rachel had underestimated him. And she had underestimated me. Tomorrow, the serpent would show her fangs. But we already had the antidote. The next day at 2:45 p.m., Liam stood in front of the mirror in our living room, buttoning his shirt. The tiny cameras were invisible. I checked my phone for the 10th time. Clear audio. Clear video, I said. Are you ready? He took a deep breath. Ready. Karen waited outside in her car, half a block from Daniel's house. She would be our backup. If anything went wrong, we'd be at that door in seconds. Remember, I said, holding his shoulders. You go in, you say hello normally, you go to your room, you pack your things. While you do, you look. If you see the candlestick or something strange, you film it. You don't touch anything that isn't yours. Got it. And if she gets aggressive? I leave immediately, he finished. I hugged him. He smelled like soap and fear. Let's go, Karen called from the hall. It's time. We got into her car. I sat in the back, eyes glued to my phone as Liam's camera fed live video. We reached Daniel's house. 2 stories, electric gate, manicured front yard. Paid for with his first wife's life insurance. A house that should have been full of happy memories. It was a prison. Liam got out. I watched through my phone as he walked to the front door and rang. The door opened. Rachel. Black athletic pants. Tight pink top. Hair pulled back in a ponytail. Without makeup, she looked younger, and even more dangerous. Her eyes scanned him head to toe like a predator sizing up prey. You showed up, she said flatly. I thought you'd chicken out. I came for my things. Dad said I could. Your dad says a lot, she sneered. Come in. Be quick. I don't have all day. Liam stepped inside. The camera captured the living room. Expensive furniture, marble floors, big paintings. A magazine-perfect home. With evil at its core. Go to your room, Rachel ordered. You've got 30 minutes. Upstairs, Liam opened the door to his room. My heart ripped open at what the camera showed. Everything. Destroyed. Clothes thrown everywhere. Posters ripped from the walls. Desk flipped. Books scattered. Bed stripped. My God, Karen whispered, watching from the front seat. Liam's voice came through my speaker, shaky. What happened to my room? Rachel's voice floated from downstairs. You packed it up like the pig you are. That's what your mess looks like. He started picking up clothes, stuffing them into his backpack with trembling hands. The camera framed a shattered photo on the floor. Liam bent down. It was a picture of him with his mother, taken a year before she died. The glass was broken. A dirty shoe print stamped across his mother's face. He carefully brushed off the dust and slipped the photo into his backpack. Breathe, son, I whispered, even though he couldn't hear me. Just breathe. He finished with the clothes and opened his desk drawer for notebooks. That's when I saw it. Stop, I murmured at my phone. Zoom. Behind a pile of notebooks, something metallic shone. As if he'd heard me, Liam moved them aside. There it was. A heavy silver candlestick. Old. Ornate. Dark stains on its base. Blood. He found it, Karen said. That's it. Rachel's voice rang from below. That's enough. You've been up there 15 minutes. Almost done. Liam replied, voice surprisingly steady. He pulled out his own phone and quickly snapped several photos of the candlestick from different angles. Then he put it back exactly where it had been and closed the drawer. Well done, I whispered. He slung his backpack over his shoulder and stepped out. Going down the stairs, he ran into Rachel. She stood at the bottom, arms crossed. That's all? She asked. Yes. Perfect. Then you can leave. And never come back. This is my house too, Liam said quietly. Rachel let out a cold laugh. Your house? This house is your father's. And I'm his wife. You're just an accident he's been stuck with. My mom wasn't an accident, Liam said, anger lighting his face. Her eyes narrowed. Your mother is dead. And your grandma will be soon too. Old women like her don't last long. When she dies, your father gets that filthy little apartment. We'll sell it. We'll move far away. And you'll be at a boarding school learning some respect. Is that why you hit defenseless people? Does it make you feel powerful? Rachel took a step toward him. The camera perfectly captured her face. Pure fury. I never touched you, you lying brat. You attacked me. And if you say the opposite one more time, I'll make sure you rot in juvenile detention. I know how this system works. I'll bury you. I know the truth, Liam replied. And so does my grandmother. Your grandmother is nobody, Rachel spat. A washed-up old woman who doesn't know when to give up. But she'll learn. Everyone learns. What are you two talking about? A voice I knew too well cut through the tension. Daniel. He'd just walked in. Suit, loosened tie, tired face. Hi, honey. Rachel immediately switched tone, all sweetness. You're home early. Liam was just leaving. What was that about a boarding school? Daniel asked, eyes flicking between them. I was just explaining that if he keeps misbehaving, we'll need to take measures, Rachel said smoothly. She said that when Grandma dies, you're going to sell her apartment, Liam said, voice firm. That you'll ship me to boarding school. She said those exact words. That's a lie, Rachel shot back immediately. Daniel, your son is making up stories to turn you against me. I'm not lying, and you know it, Liam insisted. Daniel rubbed his face with both hands. He looked like a man about to collapse. Liam, go. Dad, you need to listen. I said go. Daniel yelled. His voice echoed through the house. Liam flinched. Then he straightened. Fine. I'm going. But when you finally want the truth, you know where to find me. He opened the door and stepped out. Karen started the engine. Liam climbed into the back seat, beside me. His eyes were glassy but dry. I'm sorry, Grandma, he whispered. I tried. Don't apologize, I said, pulling him into a hug. You did perfectly. We have what we needed. As Karen drove away, I watched the recording again. We had the hidden candlestick, photographed where she hid it. Rachel's threats. Her clear statement about selling my place and sending him away. The call she'd just made to speed things up with Victor. Enough for an investigation. Not enough to truly bury her. For that, I needed something else. Rachel, convicting herself with her own mouth. That night, when Liam finally fell asleep, I went out to my balcony. The city glowed under streetlights. It was cold, or maybe that was just inside my chest. I thought about Daniel as a little boy. How he'd run to me when I came home from a case. How he'd say, "Mom, I missed you all day." The nights I'd sat by his bed when he had a fever. The times I defended him when kids laughed because he didn't have a father. I gave that child everything. For what? So a woman could arrive and steal him in less than 5 years? Turn him into someone who looked at me like I was the enemy? Tears I'd held in for days finally fell. I cried for the son I lost. For years I'd never get back. For words I would never hear. But I also cried out of rage. Rachel hadn't just taken my son. She'd twisted him. She'd poisoned his heart against me. Against his own child. That I couldn't forgive. I wiped my face, took a deep breath, and decided I was going to get my son back. I didn't know how. I didn't know how long it would take. But I was going to drag him out of that woman's claws if it was the last thing I did. Because I was Nora Hale. And mothers like me don't give up. Ever. But before I got my son back, I had to destroy Rachel. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. No more crying. No more doubt. Just one objective: take Rachel down before she destroyed what was left of my family. I made a strong coffee and sat at the table with my old investigation notebook. Karen would be there in an hour. Liam was still sleeping. He needed it. I started writing out what we had. Physical evidence. Candlestick with Liam's blood and Rachel's probable fingerprints, currently hidden at Daniel's house, needs court order. Testimonial/audio evidence. Recording of her threats and cruel words to Liam. Her statements about selling my apartment. Call to Victor Lang about speeding things up. Background pattern. 3 previous marriages. 2 dead husbands, 1 vanished son. Millions gained through suspicious circumstances. Cameras broken in key moments. Accomplice. Lawyer Victor Lang. Appears in all 3 marriages, handles legal side. Shares profits. Suspicious transfers to offshore accounts. It was a powerful case. But something bothered me. It was all indirect. Circumstantial. Without context, a good defense lawyer could twist it. I needed more. I needed Rachel to incriminate herself so clearly that not even her own lawyer could save her. Karen arrived at 8, carrying more coffee and deep eye bags. "What do you have in mind, Commander?" she asked. I know that look. It's the "we're going to close this case" look. I smiled. We're going to set a trap. How? By doing exactly what she expects me not to do. I'm going to give her what she wants. Karen frowned. I don't follow. I pulled an envelope from my bag. Last night I met with a notary friend, I said. We drafted these. Karen took the papers and started reading. Her eyes widened. Property transfer to Daniel, signed by you. She looked up. Commander, you can't be serious. They're real documents, I said. But they have a hidden clause. In fine print. If there's any proof of coercion, threats or fraud, they are automatically void. And the plan? I'm going to call Rachel, I said. I'll tell her I'm tired. That I want peace. That I'm willing to sign my apartment over to Daniel, now, if she leaves Liam alone. But under one condition. She and her lawyer have to come to my place to close the deal. Karen leaned back, slowly nodding. And while they're here, I record everything, I finished. Every word. Every threat. Every confession. People like Rachel can't resist gloating when they think they've won. It's risky, Karen said. If she senses the trap, she could snap. That's why you'll be here, I replied. In my bedroom, with professional cameras, watching on your laptop. Cross will have officers ready outside. And my whole living room will be wired. Legally. It's my home. I'm allowed to record what happens inside it. And if she just signs and leaves without saying anything? She won't, I said, certain. Women like her need you to know they beat you. She'll want me to know I lost everything. At that moment, Liam walked out of his room, hair messy, eyes puffy. What's going on? He asked. We explained the plan. He listened in silence. What do I do? He asked. You stay at Karen's house that day, I said firmly. You're not setting foot here while Rachel and Victor are in my living room. But Grandma, it's not negotiable, I cut in. I need to know you're safe so I can focus. He understood. We spent the rest of the day installing cameras. One hidden in the bookshelf. One in the wall clock in the dining area. One above the kitchen shelf. One in the standing lamp. Karen tested the feeds. Perfect audio and video. We staged my living room for maximum manipulation. Fake hospital bills on the table. Empty pill bottles on the counter. Everything to suggest I was sick, broke, and defeated. The next morning, it was time. I picked up the phone. Hands shaking, I dialed Daniel's number. He answered on the fourth ring. What now, Mom? I need to talk to Rachel, I said. It's important. Silence. Footsteps. Nora, Rachel's voice came through. Cautious. Slightly amused. What a surprise. We need to talk about the apartment, I said, letting my voice sound tired. And about Liam. And about everything. We have nothing to talk about, she replied sharply. Please. I forced my voice to break a little. I'm tired of fighting. I just want my grandson safe and my son happy. If that means giving in, then, so be it. Long silence. I could almost hear her smiling. Giving in, how exactly? The apartment, I said. I know Daniel will inherit it eventually. But I've been sick. My heart is weak. The doctors say it could be months. Maybe a year. I don't want to die leaving a legal mess. I'm willing to sign the apartment over to Daniel now. Under one condition. Which is, you leave Liam alone. You drop the charges. And you allow him to live with me. Permanently. For however long I have left. Another silence. Muffled voices in the background. Likely Victor. When? She asked. Tomorrow. 3 p.m. at my place. Bring your lawyer. I want everything legal and final. Why this sudden change of heart? She asked, suspicion under her sweetness. Because I'm tired, I said truthfully. Because I don't have strength to keep fighting. And because, at the end of the day, my son chose. And he didn't choose me. Those words hurt because they were true. Tomorrow at 3, then, Rachel said. And I hope you're not playing games with me, old lady. Because if you are, I promise you'll regret it. I'm not playing, I said. I just want peace. She hung up. I stared at the phone. My heart hammered. Karen put her hand on my shoulder. You did great. You sounded beaten. Because part of me is, I admitted. But she's not going to get the ending she's expecting. We reviewed the plan again and again. Where they'd sit. What questions I'd ask. How far I could push. That night, before bed, I checked on Liam. Nervous, Grandma? He asked. A little, I admitted. Mostly angry. And sometimes, anger is a good fuel. What if something goes wrong? He whispered. Nothing is going to go wrong, I said. Not this time. He hugged me. You're the strongest person I know, Grandma, he murmured. You're the reason I keep fighting, I replied. The next day, Karen arrived early. We checked the cameras one last time. Everything was perfect. At 1 p.m., we took Liam to Karen's house. Her husband, a reliable, quiet man, stayed with him. Don't leave the apartment, I told Liam. And keep your phone on. Be careful, Grandma, he said. I always am. Karen and I returned to my place. She set up in my bedroom, laptop open, headphones on. At 2:55, the doorbell rang. I took a deep breath. Smoothed my simple grey blouse and dark skirt, clothes chosen to make me look older, weaker. I opened the door. Rachel stood there in a beige business dress and high heels, hair perfectly styled, makeup subtle. Beside her, a man in his 50s in an impeccable suit with a leather briefcase. Victor Lang. And behind them, Daniel. He looked small, uncomfortable. Come in, I said softly. I was expecting you. Rachel walked in like she owned the place. Her eyes slid over my furniture with obvious contempt. Victor followed, cool and professional. Daniel entered last, not even looking at me. Please sit, I said, gesturing to the couch and chairs. Rachel took the main armchair like it was a throne. Victor sat next to her. Daniel chose a separate chair, as far as he could. I sat across from them. The cameras were rolling. The game had begun. Thank you for coming, I started, sounding as tired as I could. I know this isn't easy for anyone. Rachel smiled. That predator's smile I'd seen on too many criminals who thought they'd already won. Oh, Nora, she purred. I always knew you'd end up seeing reason. Victor opened his briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. He placed it carefully on the coffee table. Mrs. Hale, he said in a calm, professional tone. I understand you wish to transfer the property located at 247 Greenwich Village, apartment 302, to your son, Daniel Hale. Is that correct? That's right, I nodded. Excellent. These are the necessary documents. It's a lifetime donation to your direct heir. Perfectly legal. I just need you to review and sign here, here, and here. He pointed to several lines with a sleek, expensive pen. I took the papers. Pretended to read them carefully. In reality, I was watching their faces more than the text. Daniel stared at the floor. Rachel's eyes shone with triumph. Victor's expression barely moved, but I saw the quick looks he exchanged with her. These documents say I transfer my apartment voluntarily, without receiving anything in return, I said slowly. Is that correct? Correct, he answered. A donation. And Liam? I asked, eyes on Rachel. She leaned forward, crossing her legs. Dear Nora, let's be realistic, she said. Your grandson attacked an adult woman. That's a serious crime. I can't just forget something like that. But you said. I didn't say anything, she cut in, cold smile never leaving her face. You said you wanted to transfer the apartment. I kindly agreed to be present for this beautiful act of maternal generosity. The poison behind her words was unmistakable. I turned to Daniel. Do you think that too? I asked quietly. Do you think your son belongs in juvenile detention? He looked up for a second. Shame flickered in his eyes. Then he looked back down. Daniel has learned to trust me, Rachel said, placing her hand on his arm with a possessive gesture. He knows I only want the best for our family. And frankly, she added, Liam has been a problem since the day I came into your lives. A problem, I repeated. He's 16. He's been grieving his mother for 5 years. He's a manipulator, she spat. Just like you. Trying to separate us with melodrama and lies. Victor cleared his throat softly. Rachel, he warned. She ignored him. Do you have any idea how many times that brat has tried to convince Daniel I'm bad? She continued. How many lies he's told to make me look like a monster? Maybe they weren't lies, I said mildly. Children usually tell the truth when they're terrified. Her eyes turned to slits. What exactly are you implying? Nothing, I shrugged. Just thinking out loud. She let out a laugh. Oh, Nora. Always so dramatic. Just like your grandson. I guess it runs in the family. She leaned back in the armchair like it was a throne. But it doesn't matter anymore, does it? She went on. You're going to sign those papers. You'll stay here in this little apartment until nature takes its course. And Liam? Well, he'll learn his lesson in a place where they teach discipline. Rachel. Victor tried again, more urgent. Relax, Victor, she snapped. Everything is under control. I pretended to hesitate. Trouble? I asked softly. You mentioned trouble earlier. She smiled, lazy and cruel. Yes. Do you have any idea how much effort it took to make Daniel forget you? She asked. Every birthday he forgot. Every call he didn't make. Every visit he didn't pay. All planned. All perfectly executed. Daniel stared at her, stunned. What did you say? He whispered. Oh, don't act surprised, honey, she said, rolling her eyes. You knew I managed your schedule. I decided who you spent time with and who you didn't. I thought you were just organizing my life, he stammered. Oh, Daniel. So naive. She laughed. I was keeping you away from this woman because she was a burden. And it worked, didn't it? You can't stand her now. I watched something break behind my son's eyes. Victor jumped in, voice tight. I think we should focus on the documents. Sit down, Victor, she ordered without looking at him. I'm talking. He obeyed, but his face had gone pale. Do you know the best part? Rachel continued, turning back to me. When you finally die, and with that heart of yours, it won't be long. We're going to sell this dump for $450,000. I already have a buyer. A developer. They'll remodel the building. I nodded slowly. 450,000, I repeated. She hummed. And with that, plus what I've already made from my previous investments, Daniel and I are going to Miami. Boutique hotel. Ocean view. Everything ready. And Liam? I asked. He's going to a military boarding school in San Diego, she said, bored. All arranged. As soon as he's 18, he'll disappear into the system. Someone else's problem. Rachel, stop, Daniel said suddenly, standing up. What are you talking about? We never discussed any of this. Because you didn't have to, she snapped, impatient. I take care of everything. Like I took care of pushing your mother away. Of handling your son. Of planning our future. You took care of pushing my mother away, Daniel repeated slowly. His voice shook. Someone had to, she shrugged. Mothers like her are toxic. They latch on like leeches. She was never going to let you go. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. I needed her to keep talking. And the candlestick? I asked softly. Did you take care of that too? She looked at me. Then she smiled. Ah, that, she said. Yes. Clever, wasn't it? The brat was late. I was tired of his judgmental looks. So when he walked through that door, I gave him what he deserved. A good hit with the silver candlestick my dear dead mother-in-law left us. Ironic, right? Daniel was white. You hit him first, he whispered. Of course, she replied. Then I hit myself against the wall. A few strategic bruises. Some tears. And once again, you believed me like the obedient puppy you are. Rachel. Victor tried one last time. Shut up, Victor, she exploded. This is over. The old hag is going to sign. We'll get the apartment. And in a few months we'll be in Miami counting cash. Just like we planned. Like you planned with Richard, I said quietly. With Franklin. With Joseph. Her face froze. That's enough, Victor blurted. We're leaving. I stood. Sit down, Victor, I said. This time, my voice wasn't tired. It was the voice that had made hardened criminals shake. Because this is just getting started. I walked to my bedroom door and opened it. Karen stepped out, laptop in hand. Good afternoon, she said calmly. Karen Holt. Private investigations. Everything you've just said is recorded in high-definition audio and video. Rachel's blood seemed to drain from her face. Titch, that's illegal, she stammered. Not at all, I replied. This is my home. I have every right to record what happens here. And you've just confessed to coercion, fraud, assault on a minor, and conspiracy. Victor rushed toward the door, but Karen moved faster, blocking him. I wouldn't, counselor, she said. 2 detectives from criminal investigations are waiting outside. Old friends of the commander. It was true. I'd called Cross that morning. He'd agreed to station them nearby. You think this will hold up? Rachel spat. You set us up. And you walked right into it, I said. Because you're arrogant. Because you thought an old woman in a cheap skirt couldn't touch you. I took out my phone and dialed. Captain Cross, I said, putting it on speaker. You can come up now. Footsteps sounded on the stairwell. Moments later, Cross entered with 2 officers. Commander Hale, he greeted me. Do we have what we need? Everything, Karen said, turning the laptop toward him. Confessions. Threats. Admissions of assault and fraud. Names. Plans. Cross turned to Rachel and Victor. Rachel Cole, also known as Bianca Morales. Victor Lang. You are under arrest for. This is a trap. Rachel screamed. Daniel, say something. Defend me. We all turned to my son. He sat with his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. When he finally looked up, his face was wet. It was all a lie, he whispered. Everything you said about my mother. About Liam. About everything. I love you, Rachel cried. Everything I did was for us. You used me, Daniel said, voice cracking. You turned me against my mother. You hurt my son. For what? For money. It wasn't just money. It was, he cut in, standing. You never loved me. You loved my inheritance. Like you loved the others. The officers cuffed her. Rachel screamed, kicking, trying to throw herself at Daniel. Daniel, please. Don't let them take me. I'm your wife. But my son turned his back. Victor didn't struggle. He just lowered his head, defeated, as the cuffs clicked closed. As they were led out, Cross turned to me. Commander, I'll need your formal statement tomorrow. This will be a long case. But with this evidence, there's no way they walk. I'll be there, I said. When they left, only Karen, Daniel, and I remained. Silence. Daniel looked at me. For the first time in 5 years, he truly saw me. Mom, he whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I wanted to run to him. To hug him. To say it didn't matter. But something inside me stopped. Years of pain. Nights of silence. No, Daniel, I said softly. Not yet. I'm sorry, doesn't fix 5 years of forgetting I exist. It doesn't fix you believing a stranger over your own son. Or letting that woman hit him under your own roof. He nodded, crying. I know. You're right. I don't deserve your forgiveness. It's not about deserving, I said. It's about earning. And that will take time. A lot of time. I walked to him and placed my hand on his cheek. But you're still my son, I said. And even when you forgot me, I never forgot you. If you're willing to do the work, I added, we'll heal. Slowly. Together. Anything, Mom, he said. Anything. Karen quietly packed her things and left, giving me a small nod. Daniel and I were left standing where years ago he'd played with toy cars on the rug. Where's Liam? He asked. Safe. With Karen, I answered. You'll see him. When he's ready. What came next was long. Rachel's lawyer, Victor, tried everything. Bail applications. Technicalities. Delays. But Karen and Cross had built a mountain of evidence too high to climb. We brought in Hannah Reed, Richard's daughter, who testified about her father's sudden illness. Franklin's doctor, with records of suspicious symptoms and missing money. Bank statements linking Victor and Rachel to offshore accounts. And most surprising of all, we found Eric. Alive. Living under a false identity in Guatemala, terrified to return. When Karen tracked him down and told him what Rachel was doing to us, he agreed to testify. 3 months later, I sat in the Supreme Court building. The wood pews smelled like old varnish and history. The benches were full. Journalists, curious strangers, and families of Rachel's previous victims. To my right sat Liam in a suit we'd bought just for that day. To my left, Daniel. In the last weeks, father and son had started the slow, painful work of reconciling. There were tears, awkward silences, difficult conversations. But they were trying. Karen sat a few rows behind with Cross. The side door opened. 2 guards walked Rachel in. Nothing remained of the elegant predator I'd met. She wore an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was greasy and pulled back in a messy ponytail. The makeup was gone. Wrinkles and dark circles marked her face. But her eyes still burned with hatred. Behind her shuffled Victor, also in orange, eyes fixed on the floor. All rise, the clerk called. Presiding, the Honorable Judge Allison Park. The judge entered. A woman around 55 with short grey hair and a hard, unreadable face. We are here, she began, for sentencing in the case of the state versus Bianca Morales, also known as Rachel Cole, and Victor Lang. The defendants have been found guilty by a jury on the following charges. She listed them off. Aggravated fraud, extortion, attempted murder, kidnapping, criminal association, conspiracy. Each word was a hammer. Before I pass sentence, Judge Park said, do any of the victims wish to speak? The prosecutor looked at me. I stood. Your Honor, I began. My name is Nora Hale. I was a commander in criminal investigations for 35 years. In that time, I saw many criminals, but few like Ms. Morales. I turned to Rachel, Bianca. She held my gaze with pure hate. She didn't just steal money, I continued. She stole families. She destroyed the trust between parents and children. She lied, manipulated, and when lies weren't enough, she resorted to violence. My grandson will carry a scar on his face for the rest of his life because of her. My son lost 5 years of relationship with me because of her. Other families lost even more. I glanced at Hannah Reed in the front row. She nodded through tears. But beyond the damage, I said, what makes her truly dangerous is this: she has no remorse. Even now exposed, she still insists she is the victim. That is terrifying. I sat. Eric spoke next. Vanessa, Bianca, stole 4 years of my life, he said, voice shaking. She took me away from my father. He died thinking I abandoned him. I never got to tell him the truth, or say goodbye. Hannah and relatives of Franklin also spoke. Pain. Betrayal. Lives shattered. Finally, the judge looked at Rachel. Ms. Morales, do you have anything to say before sentencing? Rachel slowly stood. For a brief second, I thought I might see a human being. I was wrong. All of this is a farce, she said coldly. I'm the victim of a conspiracy by jealous people who couldn't stand that their relatives loved me more than them. I did nothing wrong. One day the truth will come out. She sat. Judge Park's expression hardened. In 25 years on this bench, she said, I have seen many criminals. Some show regret. Others at least have the decency to remain silent. You, Ms. Morales, have learned absolutely nothing. She opened a folder. For aggravated fraud in 3 cases, I sentence you to 12 years each, 36 years. For aggravated extortion, 6 years. For attempted murder, 15 years. For kidnapping, 20 years. For criminal association, 5 years. Sentences to run consecutively, not concurrently. Total, 58 years in state prison. A murmur rippled through the room. Rachel went white. In addition, the judge continued, you are ordered to make full restitution. All assets obtained through fraud will be seized and returned to their rightful owners or heirs. She turned to Victor. Mr. Lang. Due to your cooperation and confession, and your role as facilitator rather than primary aggressor, you are sentenced to 25 years. Your license to practice law is revoked permanently. You must also pay restitution. He nodded, resigned. This court is adjourned. The gavel fell. The guards led Rachel away. She turned back one last time, looking for Daniel. He wasn't looking at her. His arm was around Liam. Outside, journalists swarmed us. I made a brief statement. Justice was served today, not only for my family, but for all those harmed by Bianca Morales. I hope this sends a message. No one is above the law. Manipulation, fraud, and violence have consequences. Then we left. That night, the 3 of us ate dinner in my little kitchen. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, fresh biscuits. Liam ate with appetite for the first time in months. Daniel poured water, cleared plates, small but meaningful gestures. How do you feel, son? I asked Liam as we washed dishes together afterward. Relieved, he said. But also sad. Sad why? I asked gently. Because Dad lost years with her. Because you suffered. Because we could have been happy this whole time, and we weren't. The past can't be changed, I said. We can only learn from it. And build something better. Do you think Dad and I can be like before? He asked. No, I said. You'll never be like before. You'll be something new. And if you do it right, it will be better. Daniel appeared at the doorway. Liam, can I talk to you? He asked. Liam looked at me. I nodded. They stepped onto the balcony. Through the window, I watched them. Watched my son cry in front of his child. Watched Liam put his arms around him. They were starting to heal. 2 weeks later, Daniel came over with papers in his hand. Mom, I want you to see this, he said. They were legal documents. He was putting the house he'd shared with Rachel up for sale. The money would be divided 3 ways. 1 part for me, 1 for Liam, and 1 to create a compensation fund for Rachel's previous victims. That house is full of bad memories, he said. Every room reminds me how blind I was. I can't live there anymore. I'm moving closer to you. Smaller place. So I can be near you both. Liam will stay here with you while he finishes high school, if you agree. But I'll be present. I'll take him to school, go to his games, help with homework. I'm going to be the father I should have been. I hugged him. My boy. Finally home. A month later, I got a letter. From prison. Bianca Morales, on the envelope. Karen, who was visiting, said, "You don't have to read that, Commander." But I opened it. "Nora," it said. "You won. Congratulations. You destroyed my life like I tried to destroy yours. I guess that makes you feel powerful. But know this, I don't regret anything. The world gives nothing to women like me. I took what I wanted. And I'd do it again. You're going to die someday, old lady. When you do, I'll still be here, remembering how I beat you for 5 years. How I pushed your son away. How I made him doubt you. Those 5 years are mine. May you rot. Bianca." Karen read over my shoulder. "She's a psychopath to the end," she muttered. "Yes," I said. But instead of anger, I felt pity. Pity for a woman so broken she never understood real love. Who only knew how to measure life in wins and losses. I tore the letter into small pieces and threw them away. "She can keep those 5 years, I told Karen. "Because I have the rest of my life. With my family. And that's something her hatred will never touch." That night, Daniel and Liam came over with a guitar. We had dinner. Liam played songs he'd learned. Daniel and I sang badly, and we laughed like we hadn't in years. At one point, while Liam played a song his mother had taught him, I looked around. Old sofa. Faded curtains. The smell of coffee and cinnamon. And I realized something. Rachel had never had real power over me. Because power isn't in what you own, or what you can take from others. Real power is in what you're willing to give for love. And I'd given everything. My time. My tears. My heart. But I'd gotten back something no money could buy. A family. 6 months later, on my birthday, I woke up to the sound of clattering dishes. Daniel was at the stove making scrambled eggs. Liam was setting the table, humming. "Good morning, Grandma." "Happy birthday," he grinned. I had forgotten it was my birthday. 69. Almost 70. "Oh, my boys. You didn't have to do this." "Of course we did," Daniel said, smiling. "It's your day." We had breakfast together. Liam told me about his math exam. Daniel talked about his new job. Less pay, but fewer hours. "I don't want to miss any more time," he said, looking at me. "Money can wait." "You can't." After breakfast, Liam handed me a gift wrapped in green paper. It was a photo album. Not of the past, but of the last 6 months. Liam playing soccer, Daniel in the stands. The 3 of us eating ice cream. Daniel and I holding hands in front of a monument. A shot of us planting a cherry tree in the community garden. On the last page was a picture of the 3 of us on my sofa, smiling. Underneath, in Daniel's handwriting, "Family isn't just the blood you share. It's the love you choose to give every day. Thank you, Mom, for never giving up on us. We love you." I cried. A lot. Later that day, Daniel told me quietly, "I've been going to therapy twice a week for 4 months." I was surprised. "I needed to understand why I was so blind with Rachel," he said. "Why I let her manipulate me. I learned I never really processed my first wife's death. I felt guilty for being happy without her. When Rachel appeared, I filled that hole with the first thing that came along." "Dad," Liam said, "we've talked about this. I already forgave you." "I know, son," Daniel replied. "Now I'm learning to forgive myself. That will take time." "It always does," I said. "But you're doing the work. That's what matters." We went to Central Park. Listened to live music. Ate street food. At a Mother's Day festival, Daniel took my hands and awkwardly danced with me in the grass. "This," he said, laughing, "is what we should have been doing all along." "It's never too late to start," I said. That night, on the balcony, Liam came out wrapped in a blanket. "Can't sleep?" I asked. "I was thinking," he replied. "About what?" "That it was worth it," he said. Every tear. Every hard night. It was worth it. To get here. He hugged me. Grandma, when things were worst with Rachel, when no one believed me, I held on to one thing, he said. That you would never abandon me. That no matter what, you'd always be on my side. And I always will be, I said. Until my last breath. That's why I want to be like you, he added. Strong. Brave. Someone who fights for the people they love. You already are, I smiled. What are you going to study, my future hero? Law, he said. I want to be a lawyer. But not like Victor. I want to defend kids like me. Families like ours. I couldn't stop my tears. Your mother would be so proud, I whispered. And so am I. 2 years later, the cherry tree weed planted in the community garden bloomed for the first time. Delicate pink flowers swayed in a soft spring breeze. Liam was in his first year of law at Georgetown. Daniel had remarried, a kind, grounded architect named Julia. I'd met her. I'd watched the way she looked at him. It was real. Her daughter, Chloe, had become close to Liam. Sundays, all 4 of them came to my place for dinner. It was a new family. Different. Imperfect. Beautiful. Karen sat beside me on the bench under the cherry tree. What are you thinking, Commander? She asked. That life comes full circle, I said. And that scars make us stronger. Do you ever regret how you handled Rachel? She asked. No, I said without hesitation. I did what I had to do to protect my family. I'd do it again. Do you know Eric just got married? Karen smiled, showing me a photo on her phone. He sent you an invitation. He said he wouldn't be alive today if you hadn't fought for him, too. I smiled. He deserves happiness. And one more thing, she added. Hannah Reid opened a foundation to help families who've been victims of fraud and manipulation. She named it after you. The Nora Hale Foundation for Family Protection. My throat tightened. Why would she do that? I asked quietly. Because you gave her faith in justice again, Karen said. Because you proved the truth can win. If you fight hard enough. Liam came running toward us, waving a letter. Grandma. Look. He'd been chosen for a human rights legal program. None of this would have been possible if we'd stayed silent. Daniel and Julia arrived with a picnic basket. We spread a blanket under the cherry tree. Ate. Laughed. Shared stories. At one point, as everyone talked around me, I thought of Rachel. Serving 58 years behind bars. Alone. Bitter. No visitors. I felt no joy at her suffering. Just pity. She had spent her life taking from others. Winning on paper. But she died long before her sentence, because she'd never known what love felt like. I, on the other hand, had everything she never would. A grandson who wanted to be like me. A son who had come home. A family that had been broken and rebuilt. That is real wealth. Not the apartment I will one day leave behind, but the love I planted. And like the cherry tree above us, that love took time to bloom. It needed patience. Tears as water. Hard winters. But in the end, it blossomed. Beautiful. Strong. Enduring. If this story touched your heart, if you've ever had to fight for your family or defend someone no one believed, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. What country, what city? I'd love to know how far this story travels. And remember, family isn't always perfect. Sometimes it breaks. Sometimes it hurts. But if there's real love, there is always hope for healing. Like this video if you believe in second chances. Subscribe for more stories that make you feel, think, and believe in justice. Because true wealth isn't what you own. It's what you refuse to lose.